This episode is brought to you by Wise. Wise is the app for international people using money around the globe. With Wise, you can send, spend, and receive up to 40 currencies with only a few simple taps and save up to 55% compared to major banks. Plus, Wise won't add hidden fees to your transfer. Whether you're buying souvenirs with pesos in Puerto Vallarta or sending euros to tip your Colosseum tour guide, you know you're getting a fair exchange rate with no extra markups. Be smart. Join the 15 million customers who choose Wise. Download the Wise app today or visit wise.com. Learn more by visiting wise.com/US/compare. T's and C's apply.
Today on CityCast Denver, the chief of the Denver Fire Department, Desmond Fulton, rarely talks to the press. He didn't do an interview with CBS when they uncovered that he'd been filing for comp time for routine work events. He didn't do an interview when 64% of the department voted that they had no confidence in his leadership. And he didn't do an interview when the mayor proposed a budget increase to the fire department while laying off workers and asking every department to make cuts. That ends today. Chief Fulton joins me to go through all the controversies, share his side of the story, and explain what it means for Denverites trying not to get burned. Today is Thursday, October 9th. I'm Paul Caroli, and here's what Denver's talking about. Desmond Fulton, welcome to CityCast Denver.
Paul, thank you for the invite.
So you don't do a lot of interviews. You ready for this?
I am, yeah. And it's, as far as interviews, I think this is a wonderful opportunity to let people know about the amazing work that the men and women of the Denver Fire Department do each and every day. But I appreciate the opportunity to sit in front of you and answer some questions and let people know who I am and, more importantly, what the men and women of the Denver Fire Department do each and every day.
So let's start with the issue that is on a lot of people's minds. The mayor is facing criticism for layoffs and cutting department budgets all across the city's administration. Some folks are now remembering when former mayors Hickenlooper and Hancock, in facing similar situations, negotiated with the police and fire departments to delay raises in times like this. Have you all talked about or considered delaying raises for the firefighters?
First, to be very clear, that delay or any type of agreement would be between the union and the mayor and the mayor's team.
Yeah, and I emailed the union about this to ask them directly, and they did not respond to me. So I'm asking you.
Sure, absolutely. And I just for clarity, I want to make sure that people understand that the contract is bargained by Local 858 and the union, and obviously between the mayor and the team there. In regards to, cutbacks and other things, I've been around for quite a while. This is my 27th year with the city, in particular with Denver Fire. And, you have highs and you've got lows. And as far as I'm aware, there's 3 instances where we've actually given back. As a department, we made cuts and we gave back to the city to help them to get through those difficult times. This one is a little bit different in the aspect of, I think, the dollar amount, number one. It's a little bit larger than what I recall in the past.
You mean the ask of the cut?
I think just in general, just the amount, not the cut from the particular agency, i.e. fire, but just the city in general. And I think, the mayor and his team, had a difficult decision or decisions, if you will, to make when it came to what reductions look like.
Yeah, my understanding is they asked every department to look for cuts.
Correct.
And yet here I am looking at the budget for your department, 2026. It's up from 2025.
It is up. You are correct. And predominantly the reason that it's up.
The proposed budget, I should say.
The proposed budget. Why? Thank you. Majority of that is tied to raises within the fire department that was bargained for. Now, as a worker for the city, there's, quite a few, well over 10,000 people that work for the city and really, really hardworking people that do amazing things each and every day. And the fire department's no different. Having the opportunity to lead this organization, especially during COVID, there were a lot of difficult things that were happening at that time. And the one thing that I can speak to is the fact that as firefighters, we are exposed to many difficult things. We have one of the highest rates of injuries of any profession in the country. And the things that our folks are exposed to physically, they're exposed to mentally, I'll equate that to the glass of water in front of me. Every little bit of that difficult call is a little bit of liquid in that glass. Eventually, that glass is going to overflow. and we can't unsee the things that we see, and unfortunately those take a toll. So when it comes to your particular question on, the reductions, or are we looking at reductions, and I do support the fact that our folks got raises. And the reason I say that is not that I don't support everyone else in the city, because I stated earlier, there's amazing people that do amazing work each and every day. But the fact remains that I'm very proud of the hard work and dedication that our folks do. The things that they expose themselves to physically, the injuries, mentally, the trauma, the demand, they literally really are running in buildings sometimes when they're on fire, when people are running out. So I don't want to take away from the fact that the job is incredible that they do, that their bravery is commended, and I'm very proud of them.
Inarguably,
Yes.
this is incredibly difficult work. It takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of training to do this.
Yes.
But these cuts, every department was asked to make cuts. Did you make cuts?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What cuts?
We are in the shoulder to shoulder with the rest of the city. So we have reductions in many areas. One of them is in the way we operate. We had to take a really hard look at the way we staff. And just, a moment ago, I had a chance to let you know that, I'm going to be short a comms person, because that was a difficult choice.
Normally you'd have someone in the room with you
100%
for an interview like this.
And knowing that the challenges that we're facing are very significant, I looked at this from the top down, the way I approach things. And, I had to make a very difficult choice to reduce our division staff. So I actually have one less division chief starting next year than we normally will. That's never been done before. So I've got folks that run our operations division, our fire prevention division, safety and training administration, the airport. They do incredible work, but, I felt that, we had to look at this in totality on how we could be better and streamlined. So we're actually combining our safety and training division with administration. So I will have one less division chief. They will go back to the streets in the capacity of an assistant chief.
Fewer people, more work.
Fewer people, more work.
What is that going to mean for the people of Denver?
What it means is, the rest of us are picking up those responsibilities. So it's not that they're going away, because responsibilities are always going to be there. But what it means is we took a hard look on how we could be better. How could we be more streamlined? And sometimes it's not how can we do less with more. We're going to be at that point where we're going to do less with less, but how can we be the best department that we can be, knowing that? So
that sounds really scary when we're talking about fire department work, fires.
Absolutely. But the one thing I'm very proud of is, as we've gone through this and gone through these reductions, we are not changing the way we provide service. At no point during this are we looking at shutting down any type of firehouses. We currently have 39 firehouses that we staff with either one or two trucks or engines. And it's not going to change the way we respond. So when someone calls 911, we will respond the way we always do. We will show up in the same amount of time that we always do. We will be prepared, and we will make sure that their darkest day is a little bit brighter when we're done helping them with that emergency. So we staff at 4, we will arrive on scene, and we're not changing the way we do business. That is really the genesis of what we do. That is priority number one, is the safety of the citizens that we serve and the safety of our firefighters.
So I want to revisit something we talked about earlier. So you're talking to the mayor about how you provide service.
Yes.
I have to imagine, in fact, it strains credulity for me to think about the mayor having these conversations with the fire union about potentially delaying raises and not asking for your opinion, which is what you said earlier, that it would not involve you at all.
Oh, what I'm saying is the end decision would have to come from a vote of our folks through the union.
I see. So did he ask your advice?
We absolutely. The mayor's a wonderful person, and he has a lot of really in-depth conversations on, what our thoughts are as leaders, and especially in safety. So
point blank, yes. Did he ask you if the firefighters would take a delay?
I can't recall if it was asked in that way. I think really what the conversation was is, we're in a tough time right now. What's realistic for you guys as far as givebacks, and what can we reduce? And my answer was very, very clear. We can't reduce the way we respond. We can't reduce the way we staff. But as the leader of the organization, I will take it upon myself to find ways that we could be better. I'll give you another prime example. This obviously is a revenue offset. It's an offset of cut with revenue. But we took something that's not working very well, and we found a way to not only generate revenue, but to make a situation better. So Denver Fire is responsible for the conveyances within the city and county of Denver. We've got over 11,000 conveyances.
What's a conveyance?
A conveyance would be an elevator, it would be a moving walkway, escalator.
I've heard there's been a problem with elevators. They're not getting reviewed enough. They're not getting permitted reviews properly. And they're busted.
There's been some issues with elevators, but to paint the picture as clear as I can, there are very few companies that are in the conveyance business. So we have a limited number of businesses that have the ability to not only install new conveyances, but to make repairs on things that need repaired. And now with the issues that we're having federally, with the delay with shipping because of all of the additional costs that are related to tariffs and things, it made a really tough situation even more difficult. So coming together with our team in fire prevention, they said, hey, we've got a great idea. We're in charge of conveyances. We have the ability. We have the folks that can do these. And when I speak to these, that's a third-party inspection. So to paint the picture clear, if a conveyance is repaired, a third party needs to come in to ensure that the repair was done safely and correctly. Well, it could take 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks sometimes to get that repair taken care of. Well, if you are in a high rise and grandma or grandpa's on the 18th floor and they want to go get groceries, they can't take the elevator. They are then forced to take the stairs down and take the stairs up. If there's an emergency, we have to take the stairs up or take them down. So we found a way to really not only expedite the process, but at the same time, generate some revenue for the city. So again, that's working smarter. This is going to be better for our folks because the folks that are in the community that rely on these conveyances, it's going to help to expedite that process. So again,
so the fire department's bringing in money.
We're not only are we bringing in money.
Who's paying for this? The building owners?
Well, it would be paid for anyways, right? Because
they're paying, instead of paying some third party reviewer, they're paying the fire department to go in and check?
They're paying trained individuals that work for the fire department.
Interesting.
And it would actually help to expedite the process. Not taking away from the work that those private companies do. They do great work, but we're augmenting that and we're helping to expedite this process.
So just to revisit this one more time, because I don't think I've just heard it directly.
Sure.
When the mayor asked you what kind of cuts are realistic,
sure,
and you had that conversation about all these efficiencies and doing better, did at any point in the conversation with the mayor, did it ever come up delaying raises?
Again, I can't recall that. That was many, many, many months ago. We have many conversations, and in the end, the end goal is how can we reduce, how can we save money? And that is one way it's been done in the past. We've taken cuts 3 times that I'm aware of. But again, that would be something that would be negotiated between the union, voted on by our folks, and then implemented through BMO.
This episode is brought to you by Denver Film, because movie lovers across the city are getting hyped. It's almost time for Denver's biggest celebration of cinema, and you don't want to miss it. I'm talking red carpets, celebs, Hollywood moguls, exclusive parties and VIP events, and you can be a part of it. Honestly, I've always had a great time at Denver Film Fest. Not only do they bring out so many good movies that you can just show up to basically a random theater on a Tuesday night on a whim and see something interesting, but you also have a chance to dress up nice, go out to a packed screening of one of the year's best, because they always bring the best. The Film Fest returns for its 48th year, running from October 31st to November 9th. They're featuring over 200 of the world's best new films, as well as all kinds of other great events. Choose your adventure and get tickets at denverfilm.org. That's denverfilm.org. I wonder, I appreciate your perspective on this and the delicate politics of the fire department just in the last couple of years since I've gotten turned on to this, how, in my opinion, it's quite opaque what goes on in the fire department. It's got some tensions still lingering, I think. And I just wanted to talk to you about something that came up a few months ago. And because I don't know if I've ever heard you talk about this publicly.
Sure.
Firefighters voted 64% of firefighters voted earlier this year that they have no confidence in you as their chief. How did that feel?
Well, as a human, I think we all like to be liked. We all like to feel that we're doing good at our job and we want to feel appreciated. So, when that many people stated that they don't have confidence in you, it doesn't feel good. I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, you pick yourself up and you take a hard look in the mirror and realize, how can I be better? How can I be a better person? How can I be a better husband, a better father, a better fire chief? And really take the time to take a deep dive and talk to people that you trust that are going to tell you things that you don't want to hear, tell you those things sometimes that you need to hear. So I took that as a moment to take a step back and not only realize then, but, I'm very blessed. I'm blessed to be part of this department. I call it a fire family. I've been part of this family for 27 years, and you've got good days and bad days. And I took this as an opportunity to grow, to look at myself and get in better tune with, my relationships at home, my relationships at work, and be a better version of me. And in the end, that's all I can do is be the best that I can be. But, to be very clear with you, everyone likes to feel like they're doing a good job. But that was a chance for me to really take a hard look at myself and be a better person. And I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate the constructive criticism, because the only way you can grow is to acknowledge not your successes, but your failures especially. That's how you become a better person.
Why do you think so many of them said they wanted you to resign?
There could be, multiple reasons. I mean, obviously, when you have 1,150 people, especially when you lead a paramilitary organization,
Is that how you think of it, a paramilitary organization?
Oh, absolutely. You've got ranks of lieutenants, you've got ranks of captains, you have chiefs, very similar to the military. So when you go through an academy, we all have a chain of command. I have a chain of command. We all have a chain of command. So it's somewhat paramilitary, absolutely.
Sorry, you were saying why do you think they voted against?
Sure.
Wanted you to resign?
There could be many reasons, and starting at COVID, there were a lot of decisions that were made either by me or within the current mayor and administration that weren't popular. You take that and
what?
During COVID, for instance, like vaccinations, the mandated vaccinations, that was a very difficult time, not only for Denver as a city, but as a department and departments across the country that made that determination or decision that people had to get vaccinated.
But specifically, Denver firefighters didn't want the vaccine mandate. They didn't want to get the vaccine.
No, I don't want to say that. What I'm saying is, when you've got things that we would consider political, generally, most people aren't on the same side politically, right? You elect a president, it's close to 50-50. During that time, there was a lot of things that people felt were very political, and that was one of them. So you take that decision and, understanding where the mayor was at, and actually, being in agreement that, we're serving people, and when we respond on medical emergencies, at the time we didn't know what we were dealing with, we didn't know what we were exposed to. But even vaccinations today, there's a lot of people, they're not in lockstep when it comes to their beliefs and thoughts in vaccinations.
Yeah.
That's one example. But you take that, and when decisions are made, as stated earlier, you may have half the job that really understand why and support the decision, and other folks that look at it differently and don't support it. After a while, you're going to have people that are fans of one decision and upset at you for the other decision. But in the end, I'm the fire chief. I take full responsibility. If things go well, that's because of all the people that are around me, that surround me, that help guide this department. And when things go wrong or poor decisions are made or they didn't pan out the way you had hoped, that's my responsibility. That's on me. So,
well, we got to talk about one of those things, because this is one of the pieces that has been reported of this internal fire department politics, this changing tension that we've talked about.
Right.
CBS reported a few different times about you using comp time for routine events that you would otherwise be attending as fire chief. And then an independent investigation by the city followed up that this practice of essentially what they made it sound like is double dipping, basically getting paid for these routine events that are part of chief work that you maybe shouldn't be used for comp time. This independent investigation called it an organizational failing and a, quote, problematic practice. This, I've heard from some firefighters, has been a source of tension and the reason why some folks have no confidence in you. Have you stopped doing that?
Oh, absolutely. And, I want to be very clear and address this very head on. The fact that took place, there were suggestions from all of the recommendations of part of that. We've changed the way we do business, and I take full responsibility. I wish I would have asked more questions. Just because things have been done that way for a really long time doesn't mean that I shouldn't have taken a step back to question things and ask the whys that should have been asked. So we've changed many things, the way we do business. I looked at this as a way that, again, I could be better and we could be better as an organization. We've implemented many, many changes going forth. I'll give you an example. We have what's called a Kelly Day. And a Kelly Day, just so folks that don't understand, as firefighters, it's part of our schedule. Our firefighters work a 48-hour work week. They work 24 hours on and they work 48 hours off. Well, they have what's called a Kelly Day. So anytime their shift falls on whatever that designated day is, let's say it's a Monday, whenever your shift falls on Monday, you do not work that day. In support, it's very much the same. A lot of our folks work 4 10-hour days. Rather than calling it a 4-week work schedule, we would just call it a Kelly Day schedule. Your Kelly Day might be a Monday or Tuesday or whatever. All of our command staff now, everyone in leadership, works 5 days a week regardless. So whether it's a 10-hour day or a 12-hour day, everyone works Monday through Friday. So that was one change that was done immediately to ensure that we're adhering to that ordinance, as well as going through with the city attorney's office and many other people, at the mayor's office, to ensure that we are pristine with the way that we approach the ordinance now.
Okay. Well, the piece of this that I found interesting, which to me spoke to a broader issue that I think people will find interesting in a lasting way, is the mayor defended you after this vote of no confidence that the majority of firefighters took. He said that Chief Fulton, quote, has been a critical advocate for making sure our fire department looks like the community it serves, which is not always popular, but it is right. What is he talking about?
Well, first, I want to acknowledge the fact that I appreciate the mayor's support, and the mayor was very much supportive of myself, as well as the rest of the leadership, but, many other people throughout the city. And, on the department, I've had many, many people come forth as well with kind words. And again, I'm not perfect. I acknowledge that I make many mistakes. But in the end, my goal is to make sure that I'm being the best version of me that I could be, that this department is better off because of me and decisions made than when I left.
But this challenge, though, he's alluding to, the fire department should look like the community it serves. And you've apparently been a champion of that, and that's not popular. That's I'm reading between the lines, and I'm seeing conflict. And I don't understand what it means. What
I can tell you is that I'm very much a champion of ensuring that we hire the best that we can hire. Regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of religion, I think we can all agree that we want the best version of whoever that firefighter is. Now, I feel it is very important to do what you can to ensure that the playing field is level, that you take the time to take a step back and try to do what you can to ensure that everyone gets a fair chance to get a chance to become a firefighter. These are very difficult positions to attain. This year, we have a class that actually just started last Monday of 24 folks. That's all we're going to hire this year. It's 24 people. So when you have well over 1,000 applicants, it's very, very competitive. So, not only do you want to ensure that you look like the community that you serve, but when I say that, I mean by you want ensuring that the field of play is level, that we're not putting any obstacles or anything in place that can actually deter or make it more difficult for someone. In the end, it's not about changing standards or lowering standards. That should not be done, nor is it done. As a matter of fact, what we've done the past couple of years is we've raised that level. When our folks graduate the academy now, they have more certifications. We actually adhere to 1582, which is an NFPA physical, and part of that is ensuring that they have a minimum of 12 METs so that they're very, very fit when they get in the academy. We used to gather that as just data in the past to see if there was a correlation between success and graduation or not. And now it's actually part of the hiring process through civil service. When they're going through the medical components, they actually have to pass all of these drug screens, these physicals, mental, physical, but 12 METs at a minimum must be adhered to. And if not, then you're not hired as a Denver firefighter.
I'm imagining like 24 Arnold Schwarzeneggers in this class. And I kind of can understand where the tension might be if you want to have a force that represents the diversity of the city. Like 24, 22-year-old Jack dudes is not a diverse force.
Well, I would agree with that, absolutely. But at the same time...
Is that the problem, though? Is that what you're running into?
When I look at diversity as well, Paul, there's different types of diversity. You've got, if you have 24 folks that are all college graduates and majored in psychology, we're probably not going to be the best fire department we can be. Diversity is diversity of thought, diversity of background. I want people that have college education. I want people that were in the military. I want people that were plumbers, that were electricians. We problem solve as firefighters. When people call 911, it's because they don't know what to do. They need help figuring out a problem. And if I have someone that looks through lenses differently as a man or a woman, whatever background they may have, the bottom line is we're looking at things differently. We approach things differently. We complement each other. Really, it's finding the best that you can find, but do what you can to ensure that we try to look like the citizens that we serve.
The thing he brings up about it being not popular often, that was interesting to me. And I talked to a few firefighters about that, and I've heard that a lot of the consternation from folks does revolve around these fitness standards. They feel like some of their colleagues do not maintain the right fitness standards. Is that something you've heard? Is that a source of conflict?
Conflict in the fire service, there's a saying that there's two things firefighters don't like. They don't like things to remain the way they are, and they don't like change. So what I can tell you is no matter what the change is, more often than not, it can be difficult to navigate, and many times it's unpopular. When it comes to fitness standards, we have a very defined fitness standard when we hire people. Unfortunately, we do not have something as specific with incumbents. Now, we did have a strategy, we had something in place to where we had a physical fitness test that was performed, and what we did was we were implementing it throughout different processes where it was timed in over 3 years. The final stage was the PE.
I see. I'm sorry, this just clicked in. You're saying people might be letting themselves go. A little bit less Arnold Schwarzenegger, a little bit more Steven Seagal.
That's a good analogy. I think, as we get busy in life, including myself, there's definitely things that we let go. And as a firefighter, we need our folks to be in the best shape that they can be, not only for them when they're responding on emergencies, but the end goal for me is to ensure that they retire healthy. And firefighters, we have really difficult jobs, but the thing that we've noticed is when folks retire, we do not have the same life expectancy. And I think a lot of that can be attributed to what we are expose ourselves to mentally, expose ourselves to physically. The number one killer of firefighters is actually cancer. So, fitness, I look at this in totality. It's not just physical fitness and what type of cardio shape are you in, or can you bench press 225 pounds? Are you the best version of you? And are we doing what we can as an organization to take care of our folks, not only while they're employed as a Denver firefighter, but when they retire as a Denver firefighter?
Huh. Interesting. Something I got to ask you about is, we've been talking about the difficulty of the job, how hard it is to show up on these calls.
Sure.
I did some research. I looked at all the budgets for the fire department for the last 20 years, and I looked at all the types of calls that you all respond to.
Sure.
And I noticed that between 1% and 3% of the calls that the fire department responds to every year are fires. What does that mean to you as the fire chief? Do you feel like this department doesn't, it's called the fire department, but why is that if you're not barely dealing with fires at all?
Well, I don't think the statement of barely dealing with fires is very accurate or fair. If you take into the fact that we run 150,000 calls, even if it's 3%, that's 4,500 calls that are fire related. Those are IDLH environments where our foes are exposing themselves to really, really horrific conditions. Mm-hmm. So that's not like we're running 5,000 calls at 3% of fire. It's 140,000 calls. So it's still a very large number. What I can tell you is that number stayed pretty consistent for about the past 20 years. And it's not just in Denver, it's across the country. That tells me three things. That tells me, number one, that our folks are doing a really good job of preventative training and maintenance and ensure that these fires don't start in the first place. The second thing is we do a really good job of ensuring when we're inspecting buildings and things and the way we respond and the way we train, that a little fire doesn't blow into something significant. We can really, through our training and the way we respond, we can take an instance to where the fire doesn't get to grow, where if you've got some other place to where they don't staff the same way or have the same skills and abilities, that small room of contents fire can be to where the entire building, burns to the ground.
like preventative.
Absolutely.
Okay. But is there some part of you when you're thinking about laying off people, is there some part of you that's like, maybe there'd be some efficiencies if we didn't think of ourselves as a fire department first? If we thought of ourselves as like fighting fire as one piece of it, but maybe not everybody needs to be trained on fighting fires.
Well, not only are we trained on fighting fires, but literally we are experts in many
Well, that's
ways.
what I'm saying.
We've got, maybe it's 3,500, 4,000 fires we're going on, but we're also cutting people out of cars. We're also freeing people from entanglements, from construction accidents, or something accident that happened in a warehouse. We're responding on cardiac arrest. We're responding on strokes. We're responding, on someone that is stuck in an elevator. We were talking about conveyances earlier. There's many other types of emergencies that we respond to. Really, our folks are really required to train on everything from ice rescue to swiftwater rescue. We have folks that rappel off the side of buildings to get window washers that are stuck. Trenches collapse, right? Construction sites, accidents happen. We have folks that
But is it the same skill set for all these things? Because I'm seeing like maybe there should be specialists.
We do have
categories.
specialists. That's a very great point, Paul. We've got people that are technicians that are specialists in auto extrication, in high angle rescue, confined space rescue, structural collapse, trench rescue, you name it. We do have specialists, but at the same time, when you call 911, maybe that specialist is 18 miles away. Well, you need someone to respond that knows at least a little bit about something, right? If it's hazmat, all of our folks are trained in hazmat. They may not be technicians, but we know a lot about a lot of things. So, when you state that, because of the fact that the fire numbers aren't anywhere near what they were, I could tell you this: they burn hotter because of materials. Everything's made of plastic anymore, right? So it's not wool, it's not just wood. So it's not burning at 400 degrees, it's burning at 1,400 degrees. Because of that, we have to have the ability to get in quicker, get people out when we rescue people. So there's a lot of things that are different today, but it's because of the way that things are mass produced. Everything's built as disposable or throwaway. That's not safe. It's not safe to us. It's not safe to the folks that we're going there to rescue. So our folks are amazing at what they do, and they have to know so much about so many different things. As I stated earlier, we're problem solvers. When you call 911, it's because you don't know what to do. You don't know who to call. We're going to go there. We're going to fix it. We're going to make that really dark moment better.
Okay, I got one last question for you, because this is something the Denver voters are going to decide in just a few weeks. There's a big bond. The mayor's put a big bond package on the ballot. It's almost $1 billion.
Yes.
So one of the big pieces of this is a first responder and public safety training center, and the justification for this includes the fire department. Apparently, this new center will help keep our fire department competitive, or other things. I don't know. I mean, if people are going to vote yes or no on whether or not to put up this money, take on new debt to build this center, why should they do that or not?
Well, I'm grateful for the question, and this is something I'm very excited about, because we have needed a new training center for the fire department for a really, really long time. Our current facility is close to 40 years old. It is very antiquated. It doesn't have what we need to train people to the best of our abilities and their abilities. I look at sports teams. You take sports teams across the country. They have state-of-the-art places, because when they're recruiting people to play a sport, for instance, they want them to walk in and go, wow, I want to play here. I want to be part of this school, this community. It's no different with the fire department. It's very competitive. When we're hiring, it's not like you go to a college and you go to a career fair and everyone is lined up because they want to be a firefighter. They're getting degrees in psychology and engineering and different
You
things.
just told me
right?
a few minutes ago you had 1,000 applications for 24 positions.
Oh, we do, but it doesn't mean that we don't want more applications, right? We want the best of the best. So when we have folks come in here, I want them to choose Denver. Right, I don't want them to go to Colorado Springs or West Metro or South Metro. Those are great departments, but we want the best of the best in Denver. We want people to walk in the door and not only see the ability that what we have to train to make sure they're the best, but our incumbents. We need this facility to ensure that our folks have the opportunity to continually to train to be the best firefighters as they serve their neighborhoods and their communities. So this is about new hires. This is about incumbents. And finally, it's about our partnership with the community. I want this to be a hub where folks come to They have community meetings there. They get a chance to see what we do, a peek behind the curtains, if you will. So these boys and girls, we want them to see the opportunities there. We host an event every year. This is a youth leadership camp, and it's made up of boys and girls that are in elementary and junior high. But the intent is for us to not only ensure that they have a week to expose themselves to leaders throughout the department and do really fun things, but it's also a chance for them to see the opportunity that's there, someone that looks like them, someone that made them smile and made them appreciate themselves on how they can be a firefighter. This is about planting that seed, and that seed will eventually, if you nourish it, it'll grow into a tree, and that tree will eventually bear fruit. So this facility, it's vital to us as a department because we need the opportunity to train in realistic environments. We should have a facility where our folks can have the opportunity to train with state-of-the-art equipment, to keep themselves safe and prepare themselves so when they do put themselves in harm's way, they've got that knowledge, skills, and abilities because of the state-of-the-art center that is there. So I really ask the voters to take a hard look at this and realize that the need is there. And we ask for their support. I ask for their support because they deserve the best of the best. Not that they don't have it now. Denver Fire is amazing. I think we're the best department in the country, but we want to ensure that we continue to be a state-of-the-art department.
Well, it's a $75 million ask on, and like I said, almost $1 billion of a bond. And
Yes.
We'll be talking about that quite a bit more in the next couple of weeks because people are going to be deciding. But for now, Desmond Fulton, thank you so much for joining me.
Appreciate you. Thanks for the opportunity. Have a blessed week.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed the show, why not take a minute to tell the Firefighters Local 858 about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you then.